Welcome, lovely viewers, to another exciting video. Hello, dear viewers. Get ready to expand your horizons as we delve into 1915 in poetry. Nationality words linked to articles with information on the nation's poetry or literature, for instance, Irish or France. Prepare yourself for an eye-opening discussion on events in the upcoming portion of this video. January, the Gros de Orfu launched the short-lived magazine Orfu, introducing literary modernism to Portugal. February, the group of young Colombian writers and artists in Medellin, Los Panidas, first published their magazine Panida, including the first published poem of Lean de Grief, the editor writing as Leo Legris, Ballad of the Mad Owls. February 12, American poet Robert Frost leads the Democ Poets in England to return to the United States. April 6, publication in London of the American Ezra Pound's poetry collection Café, translations, for the most part of the Chinese of Riku, from the notes of the late Ernest Fenollosa, and the decipherings of the professors Maury and Arriga by Ilkin Matthews. April 24, deportation of Armenian notables from Istanbul begins. Among deported poets killed as part of the Armenian genocide are Ardashir Harutyunyan, Jacques Sabellian, Ruben Sebak, and Simon Toe. See May, publication of the first modern book illustrated with wood engravings, Francis Cornford's Spring Morning, published by the Poetry Bookshop, London, with engravings by the poet's cousin Gwen Raverett. July, Others, a magazine of the new verse, is founded by Alfred Kreinborg. It will run until 1917, publishing poetry, other writing and visual art. August-December, Ezra Pound is completing the first sections of his poem The Cantus. In the following section, we'll be immersing ourselves in the captivating world of poets and World War I. See also Deaths in World War I in the Deaths section. April 23, English poet and writer Rupert Brooke, having sailed on February 28 with the British Mediterranean Expeditionary Force for the Gallipoli campaign, dies aged 27 on a hospital ship of streptococcal sepsis from an infected mosquito bite off the Greek island of Skyros in the Aegean, where he is buried this evening with fellow poet Patrick Shaw Stewart in charge of the firing party. Brooke came to public attention as a war poet on March 11 when the Times literary supplement published two sonnets for The Dead and The Soldier. The latter was then read from the pulpit of St. Paul's Cathedral on Easter Sunday, April 4. His collection of poetry, containing all 5 sonnets, 1914, and other poems, is first published posthumously in May and runs to 11 further impressions this year alone. May 13, while English poet Julian Grenfell stands talking with other officers, a shell lands a few yards away and a splinter hits him in the head. He is taken to a hospital in Boulogne, where he dies 13 days later. His poem Into Battle is published in the Times London the day after his death. His younger brother Gerald William Billy Grenfell is killed in action 2 months later. August, English poet and Lance Corporal Fahrenheit W. Harvey undertakes an action of conspicuous gallantry while fighting in France, for which he is awarded the Distinguished Conduct Medal. September, Blaise Cendrars, pen name of Dirk Louis Sousa, a Swiss-born novelist and poet serving with the French Foreign Legion, loses his right arm in action. September 11, publication of Lucy Whitmall's poem Christ in Flanders in the Spectator. Expatriate Belgian poet Yamal Camet's poems are published in London by John Lane the Bodley Head as Belgian poems. Chants Patrioticus et Atri's poem is in French with English translations by his wife, Tita Brand Camet's. Brace yourself for an in-depth analysis as we navigate through Australia and its far-reaching implications. Australiac. J. Dennis, long poem The Songs of a Sentimental Bloke, after serialization in the Bulletin since 1909, Australia Henry Lawson, My Army, Oh My Army. And other songs, Australia Shaw Nielsen, Old Granny Sullivan, Sydney, Bookfellow, Australia. Get ready to uncover the mysteries surrounding Canada as we navigate its intriguing terrain. Canada, the Stanley Boronet, Laurentian lyrics and other poems. John McCrae, In Flanders Fields, a war memorial poem, is written on May 3 after McCrae's friend and former student, Lieutenant Alexis Helmer, was killed in battle. McCrae himself would not survive the war. Later in the year, the poem is published in Punch. Canadian poet published in the United Kingdom. See text of poem above. Robert W. Norwood, His Lady of the Summits. Duncan Campbell Scott, lines in memory of Edmund Morris. Frederick George Scott, The Gates of Time, and other poems. London, Samuel Bagser and Sons. Without further ado, let's move on to the topic of United Kingdom. United Kingdom. From My Boy Jack by Rudyard Kipling. Has anyone else had word of him? Not this tide. For what is sunk will hardly swim, not with this wind blowing, and this tide. Oh dear, what comfort can I find? None this tide, nor any tide, except he did not shame his kind, not even with that wind blowing, and that tide. Richard Aldington. Images 1910-15. Rupert Brooke, 1914, and other poems. G. Kelvin. Chesterton, poems. Francis Cornford, Spring Morning. John Drinkwater, Swords and Plowshares. T. South. Eliot, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, published in Poetry Magazine in Chicago, June, then, later this year, in a book in the United Kingdom. Fahrenheit. South. Flint, Cadences. Wilfred Gibson, Battle. Thomas Hardy, The Convergence of the Twain, lines on the loss of the Titanic. Ford Maddox Hoffer, Antwerp. Violet Jacob, Songs of Angus. Scottish poet Rudyard Kipling. The Fringes of the Fleet, essays and poems. My Boy Jack, written after his beloved son, John, called Jack, goes missing in the Battle of Loos during World War I. Years later, Jack's death is confirmed to Kipling and his family. A play and film with the same title are later created, based on the Kipling family's loss. Ronald Knox, Absolute and a Bit of Hell, first published in Oxford Magazine, November 28, 1912. Satirical verse on foundations, 1912. Richard Le Gallienne, The Silk Hat Soldier, and other poems. Francis Ledwidge, Songs of the Fields, Irish author, published in the United Kingdom. John McCrae, In Flan's Fields, a war memorial poem, is written on May 3 after McCrae's friend and former student, Lieutenant Alexis Helmer, was killed in battle. McCrae himself would not survive the war. Later in the year, the poem is published in Punch. Canadian poet published in the United Kingdom. James Pittendry MacGillivray, Pro Patria. Scottish poet Alice Meynell, Poems of the War. Jesse Pope, Jesse Pope's War Poems and More War Poems. Ezra Pound, Cathay, American poet published in the United Kingdom. Herbert Rawnsley, The European War, 1914-1915, poems. Herbert Reed, Songs of Chaos. George William Russell, Gods of War, with other poems. Imaginations and Reveries. Edith Sitwell, The Mother and other poems. James Stephens, Irish author, published in the United Kingdom. The Adventures of Sumas Beg, The Rocky Road to Dublin. Songs from the Clay. J.R.R. Tolkien, Goblin Feet, published in Oxford Poetry. Catherine Tynan, Flower of Youth, poems in wartime. Anna Wickham, The Contemplative Quarry. Let's now turn our attention to anthologies and uncover the fascinating insights it brings to the table. H. B. Eliot, ed. Lest We Forget, a War Anthology, Poems of Today. Ezra Pound, ed. Catholic Anthology, London. War Poems from the Times, August 1914-1915. With that being said, let's now move on to Some Imagist Poets Anthology. Contents to Some Imagist Poets Anthology, the first of 3 books with the same title published in the next 2 years, includes English and American poets Richard Aldington, Childhood, The Poplar, Round Pond, Daisy, Epigrams, The Fawn Sees Snow for the First Time, Lemmer's H. D. Hilda Doolittle, The Pool, The Garden, Sea Lily, Sea Iris, Sea Rose, Oread, Brian Dead, John Gould Fletcher, The Blue Symphony, London Excursion. Fahrenheit. South. Flint, Trees, Lunch, Malady, Accident, Fragment, Houses. O Forte. D. H. Lawrence, Ballad of Another Ophelia. Illicit, Fireflies in the Corn, A Woman and Her Dead Husband, The Mowers, Scent of Irises. Green, Amy Lowell, Venus Transiens, The Travelling Bear, The Letter, Grotesque, Bullion, Solitaire, The Bombardment. In the upcoming section, we'll be dissecting United States and exploring its intricate connections to our topic. United States. See also Some Imagist Poets subsection, Above Jenna Barnes, The Book of Repulsive Women, her first book of poems, which she described as a collection of rhythms and drawings. Stephen Vincent Bennett, Five Men and Pompey Adelaide Craxey, verse, featuring her invention of the quintain, a five-line form T-South. Eliot, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, first published in Poetry magazine. John Gould Fletcher, Irradiations, Sand and Spray. Ring Lardner, The Ballads. Archibald MacLeish, Songs for a Summer's Day. Edgar D. Masters, Spoon River Anthology. John G. Nyhart, The Song of Hugh Glass. Ezra Pound. Café, American poet, published in the United Kingdom. Editor, Catholic Anthology, London. Sarah Teasdale, Rivers to the Sea. Let's now turn our attention to Other in English and uncover the fascinating insights it brings to the table. Robi Datta, Indian poet writing in English. Poems, pictures and songs to which is prefixed The Philosophy of Art. Calcutta, Dasgupta and Company. Stories in blank verse to which is added an epic fragment. Calcutta, Dasgupta and Company. Francis Ledwidge, Songs of the Fields. Irish author published in the United Kingdom. James Stephens, Irish author published in the United Kingdom. The Adventures of Sumas Beg, The Rocky Road to Dublin. Songs from the Clay. Brace yourself for a deep dive into France as we explore its impact and relevance in our evolving narrative. Francesc Wilhelm Apollinaire, pen name of Wilhelm Apollinaris de Kostrowicki, case Zarmans Paul Claudel, Corona Benignitatis Annie de Oscar Vladislas de Lubitsch Miloš, also known as Ovida L. Miloš, Poems Pierre Revedi, Poems en prose. In this section, we'll be peeling back the layers of other languages to reveal its true essence. José de Almada Negreiros, A Cena do Dio, The Scene of Hate, Portuguese Walter Flex, Son Unschild, German Van Gogh, The Ladies Internationals, Pamphlets Country Lager, German poet in Switzerland writing in French. Yurids v. Greenberg, Ergits Eufelder, Somewhere in the Fields, Yiddish published in Austria-Hungary. Sir Muhammad Iqbal, Isra Ikudi Adu, or The Secrets of the Self, his first philosophical book of poetry, published in Persian. Vasily Kamensky, Stinker Razin, Russian. Wilhelm Klemm, Gloria, Kriegsschicht aus dem Feld, German. Vladimir Mayakovsky, A Cloud in Trousers. Oblako Vishnik, Russian. Narsira Smaranasamata, An Elegy to His Son, Indian. Writing in Gujarati. Barbad Neman, Stropi de So, Romanian. Georg Trakl, Sebastian in Traum, Sebastian in the Dream, Austrian poet published in Germany. In this chapter, we'll be shedding light on awards and honors and its role in shaping our understanding. Nobel Prize for Literature, Romain Rolland, French. Get ready for a thought-provoking discussion as we delve into births and its impact on our understanding. Death years linked to the corresponding in poetry article. January 8, Mira Mendelssohn died 1968, Russian poet, writer, translator and librettist. January 12, Margaret Dana died 1984, African American. January 15, Chaganti Somajalu died 1994, Indian, Telugu language short story writer and poet. January 31, Thomas Merton died 1968, American poet, author and monk. March 12, José Luis Rodriguez Velez died 1984, Panamanian composer, orchestra director, saxophonist, clarinetist and guitarist. April 21, John Manifold died 1985, Australian. April 22, Hemburra died 1977, Indian, Assam's language poet and politician. May 28, Dorothy Ortolani died 1991, Australian. May 30, Michael Thwaites died 2005, Australian poet, academic, intelligence officer and activist. May 31, Judith Wright died 2000, Australian. June 8, Kayakin Hannah Roy died 2015, Indian. Bruce Stone died 2011, American poet, recipient of 2002 National Book Award and 2002 Wallace Stevens Award. July 1, Alan Lewis killed 1944 on active service, Welsh war poet. July 7, Margaret Walker died 1998, African American poet and novelist. July 16, David Campbell died 1979, Australian. August Bo Balwant died 1973, Indian. Punjabi poet August 4. Patrick Anderson died 1979. English-born Canadian August 28. Claude Roy, pen name of Claude Orlan, died 1997. French poet, novelist, essayist, art critic and journalist, and activist in the Communist Party until his expulsion in 1956. September 5. Maheswar Neog died 1995. Indian, Assam's language scholar and poet. November 3. Eric Roach, suicide 1974. Caribbean poet from Tobago. November 8. George Sutherland Fraser died 1980. Scottish-born poet and critic. December 8. Nikos Gatsos died 1992. Greek. December 22. David Martin died 1997. Australian. December 27. John Cornford killed 1936 in Spanish Civil War. English. December 31. Sam Reagan died 1996. American poet and journalist, North Carolina Poet Laureate, also. Nanina Alba died 1968, African American. Akhtar Imam, Indian, Urdu language poet in the Halkai Arba Izok movement. Kelvin, South. Narasim Hoswami, better known as KSNA, Indian, Kannada language poet. Manmohan, pen name of Gopal Naranath, Indian, Marathi language poet. Nandlal Ambada died 1973, Indian, Kashmiri language poet. Palagami Padmaraju died 1983, short story writer, poet, film industry writer. Prabhu Chuvani, Wafa, Indian, Sindhi language poet. Rameshwar Shukla, pen name, Anchal, wrote in Kodi Boli and Brahbosa dialects of Hindi, poet, short story writer and novelist. Sumitra Kumari Sinha, Indian, Hindi language poet and short story writer. Get ready for a thought-provoking discussion as we delve into deaths and its impact on our understanding. Birth years linked to the corresponding in poetry article. January 3. James Elroy Flecker, born 1884, English poet, novelist and dramatist, from tuberculosis in Switzerland. February 8. Tokoshi Nagatsuka, born 1879, Japanese poet and novelist. July 10. Vasa Pshivla died 1861, Georgian poet. September 4. Helen Hinsdale Rich, born 1827, American poet. December 1. Stuart Merrill, born 1863, American symbolist poet writing in French, from heart disease also. Hortensia Antamchi, born 1850, Colombian poet. Edmund LaForest, born 1876, Haitian French language poet, suicide. V. Celsius. Olakrishna Panika, born 1889, Indian, Malayalam language poet. In the upcoming section, we'll be dissecting Killed in World War I and exploring its implications in greater detail. See also Poets and World War I in the Events section and Rudyard Kipling poem My Boy Jack above. April 23. Rupert Brooke, English poet and writer, 27, of infection on military service. Robert W. Sterling, Scottish poet, 21, killed in action May 8. Walter Lyon, Scottish war poet, 28, missing in action May 26. Julian Grenfell, English war poet, 27, killed at Ypres July 30. Gerald William Grenfell, English war poet, 25, killed in action September 1. August Stram, German poet and playwright, 41, killed in action on the Eastern Front October 13. Charles Sawley, British poet, 20, shot in the head by a sniper at the Battle of Loos in France. December 23. Roland Leighton, English war poet, 20, dies of wounds in casualty clearing station at Loudingcourt, having been shot through the stomach by a sniper at Buton. I'm here to provide you with the best information, so let me know what else you'd like to learn about.